Hello and welcome back to the Encryption Edge, where we deep dive into encryption, security trends, and compliance frameworks shaping the industry. I'm Wyatt Hackathorn, I'm with Matt Armstrong, and today we're exploring the history of FIPS, where it started, how it evolved, and what the shift from 140-2 to FIPS 140-3 means for organizations today.
Thanks, Wyatt. Yeah, this is an important topic, especially with the growing focus on crypto agility and post quantum cryptography.
Okay, so let's start kind of from the beginning. I always hear about FIPS compliance, especially in government and enterprise security, but what exactly is FIPS and what's kind of the history behind it?
Great question, Wyatt. FIPS stands for Federal Information Processing Standards. It's a set of security standards developed by NIST to ensure the integrity of cryptographic modules used in federal systems. The most well known standard is FIPS 140, which governs cryptographic module security. It's been around since the 90s and has gone through several iterations. We started with FIPS 140 1, which was introduced in 1994. FIPS 140 2, which most companies comply with today, that came out in 2001. And now we have FIPS 140 3, which officially replaced 140 2 in September 2019, though the transition period is still ongoing.
So why did we move from 140-2 to 140-3? Why did NIST kind of feel the need to develop a new set of standards?
FIPS 140 2 served the industry well for nearly 20 years, but encryption technology and the threats we face, they've evolved dramatically. FIPS 140 3 aligns more closely with international standards and introduces stricter testing requirements for cryptographic modules. I've been working with HSMs and FIPS for a long time, and it used to be only the government customers, like the US intelligence community, Department of Energy, Department of Defense, that would require FIPS. But companies in healthcare and finance have really followed the government's lead when it comes to data protection and now follow their standards. Also, a lot of other compliance is modeled after FIPS and the protection of encryption keys. But one of the biggest shifts, a stronger emphasis on secure module design, lifecycle management, and resistance to advanced attacks.
Okay, so let's sort of break it down. What are kind of the major updates in FIPS 140-3 that organizations need to know about?
Yeah, Wyatt, there's four major areas of change. There's more rigorous security testing because FIPS 140-3 enforces stricter cryptographic module validation requirements. And for the first time, it introduces entropy source testing, meaning random number generators must pass stronger randomness tests. Along with that, there's better alignment with ISO standards. The shift to ISO IEC 19790-2012 means global alignment, which is great for international companies. This also removes a lot of redundancy in the certification process. There's also clearer module classification and security levels. 140 3 clarifies security levels 1 through 4, making it easier for organizations to match their risk profile to the right cryptographic protections. Also, there's a new emphasis on crypto agility and lifecycle management, our favorite topic. This is where certificate lifecycle automation and post quantum readiness come into play. Organizations that need to be prepared for rapid cryptographic updates as new threats emerge.
So I always hear this term, the crypto agility. It's kind of a big topic in cybersecurity, but what exactly is crypto agility and why is that important for organizations?
Great question. Crypto agility means having systems and infrastructure that could quickly swap out cryptographic algorithms without breaking everything, without taking downtime. Encryption standards change over time. Take PQC, for example. Once quantum computers become powerful enough, many of today's encryption methods will be obsolete. Organizations that aren't crypto agile will struggle to update their systems to accept these new algorithms.
So basically, if I'm an organization relying on the FIPS 140-3 standards, I need to kind of think beyond just compliance. I need to actually future-proof my encryption strategies for some of these upcoming threats.
Exactly. Compliance is just a baseline. If you're only focused on meeting today's requirements, you're already falling behind.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit about post-quantum cryptography as well. So how does FIPS 140-3 prepare us for the quantum future?
Well, here's the thing. FIPS 140 3 doesn't directly address quantum threats yet. However, NIST is already working on post quantum cryptographic standards, and organizations that implement FIPS 140 3 today need to think about migration strategies for PQC.
So if quantum computers, become sort of a real threat and break current encryption, what's sort of the solution? I mean, where can we turn?
Well, I think we're still a couple years out from, a cryptographically relevant quantum computer, but NIST has been running the post-quantum cryptography standardization project since 2016. Back in August of last year, they finalized the first set of PQC standards. The three finalized standards are FIPS 203, Module Lattice-Based Key Encapsulation Mechanism Standard, aka MLKEM, FIPS 204, Module Lattice-Based Digital Signature Standard, aka MLDSA, and FIPS 205, Stateless Hash-Based Digital Signature Standard. And the algorithms behind these standards are MLKEM is based on Crystal's Kyber, which is used for secure key exchange. MLDSA based on Crystal's dilithium, for digital signatures, and SLHDSA based on Sphinx Plus, which is also used for digital signatures. And they're not done, just like everything else in this business. NIST is continuing to evaluate other algorithms such as Falcon, which is expected to be finalized later as FIPS 206. Also, just a couple weeks ago, NIST selected HQC as a backup algorithm for key encapsulation exchange in case MLKEM is compromised.
Okay, so how do these companies start getting ready for this? How do they prepare for the quantum threat that is coming?
Well, there's three things. First, you need to inventory your cryptographic assets. You need to know where encryption is being used, what algorithms are in place, and things like CBOM, the cryptographic bill of materials, are working on making this easier. You also need to adopt crypto agility practices. You need to implement a certificate lifecycle automation so that you could rotate keys and algorithms quickly without taking outages or downtime. And last but not least, you need to start, testing your PQC readiness. Some vendors are already offering hybrid cryptography solutions that use both classical and post-quantum encryption.
Okay, so one last thing. You mentioned certificate lifecycle automation. What does that kind of have to do with FIPS 140-3 and readiness for PQC?
Everything. Managing cryptographic certificates manually is a nightmare. Expired certificates could lead to outages, breaches, and compliance failures. With certificate lifecycle automation, organizations could automatically renew, revoke, and rotate certificates. They could also ensure compliance with Win 40-3 and future PQC standards. Also, you're reducing the risk of expired or vulnerable certs.
So basically, with automating certificate lifecycle or lifecycle management is kind of a must if you want to stay compliant and become cryptally agile when you need to switch those keys and those signing algorithms.
100%. It's really a core piece of any modern encryption strategy.
Yeah, okay. So this has been kind of interesting. We covered a lot. We covered kind of the history of FIPS and the transition from 140-2 to FIPS 140-3 and kind of those important points on why these new standards are being created. Post-quantum cryptography is also something that we covered and kind of the urgency to become cryptographically agile. Why certificate lifecycle automation is critical for this compliance and just security overall. But Matt, do you have any, final thoughts?
Yeah, I would say that encryption is not a set it and forget it thing. It's constantly evolving. If you want to stay secure, you need to be proactive and not reactive. Getting automation in place and proactively testing new algorithms is important for ensuring you're ready for the future.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to learn about, this new set of standards, and it sounds like PQC readiness and being more cryptographically agile are going to be important things moving forward. And, that FIPS 140-3 is going to help kind of get you there. There's kind of a lot more to explore in terms of specific changes between 140-2 to 140-3. On our website, we have a lot of resources if that's something that interests you. But I think that'll just about wrap us up.
Great. Thanks everyone for joining us today. Subscribe for more deep dives into encryption, security, and compliance. If you have any suggestions for things you'd like us to cover, you can email us at info@encryptionconsulting.com or leave a comment on YouTube. See you next time.